Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 104, where I was white and we got into the, I kicked off with d4 and we got into the Slav defense by some kind of transposition. So let's check it out with the opening book here. d4, knight f6, c4, all the most common moves, e6, threatening the Nimzo-Indian, and I play knight c3, which allows it, and knight f3 is the other main move there, avoiding it. Or g3. Bit of a sideline, I guess, but I assume it's playable. And here he went to d5 instead of bishop b4, which would be the Nimzo-Indian. So this is kind of a move order trick. He could have played d5 earlier. He may be avoiding some lines in the Queen's Gambit decline that he doesn't like. But after d5, this looks like a pretty much a classical Queen's Gambit type position. And Queen's Gambit declined, and if I followed up with knight f3, we'd be mainline Queen's Gambit declined. Also bishop g5, another way to play it, or c takes d5. And I think Chess Explained has recommended the move c takes d5 in these cases. No, I'm not sure if this is that position or not. I take it back. But I play the move e3. It just avoids some crazy lines where black tries to hold on to this pawn, take this c-pawn and hold on to it, mainly the note boom variation. So if he plays c6 here, we go into a mainline semi-Slav, but he played knight bd7 first, so we're still in kind of a rare branch. Now I play knight f3, and the numbers go up here, and he plays c6 here, and now we're back into a mainline semi-Slav. And I play the main move here. And then he plays the very unusual move, Queen a5. It's a bit of a mix of different systems. Queen a5 is a move in the Cambridge Springs variation, but that's a line where instead of e3, white has played bishop g5. So not the same as what I played at all. So this is just a semi-Slav with the move Queen a5 thrown in as a novelty. And, it's not an awful move, but it leaves white with a pretty consistent advantage. I'm going to leave the chess engine off, but I did look at it with the chess engine, and I will come across, I'll just report what it was saying, but it pointed out some interesting tactics I wanted to show you guys. So through this part, it thinks that white has some advantage. It's maybe slightly more than the normal opening advantage, maybe half a pawn instead of, 2/10 or 3/10 of a pawn, but still, that's not enough to win. But the computer likes white's position and basically likes the moves, and everything stays in that range of just slightly better for white up until move, up until this move where he played knight e5, and it turns out there's some really strong moves. Well, actually, there's only one move at this point for white that keeps the advantage, but this move knight e5 was a blunder, and so there is somewhat of a deep tactic here that you can take advantage of black's position. So if you want to pause the video and consider what you would play as white here, you have to consider all the elements of the position. His pieces are somewhat scattered and disorganized, and his king is still in the center. I guess those are the clues you get. And so then go ahead and pause the video and think about this for a while. And it's kind of a deep tactic. It's not on the surface. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give away the answer. So it starts out with knight takes e5, which you might expect since I said that knight e5 was the blunder. Yeah, take it. Now he has two ways to recapture. And so I guess the simplest one to understand is if he takes with the bishop. You can just grab a pawn here, and not only do you get a pawn, but you're forking these two pieces. But he can defend, so queen c7. It's not like you win a piece there. You take, he takes, and then you get another pawn over here. It's because of his scattered pawns. You've just rounded up all of his scattered pawns, and he had two of them. And now you've got two bishops with an open board. He still hasn't castled, and the computer rates this as just overwhelmingly good for white. It says just as good as if white had won a piece. So that's how strong computer favors that. Okay, so that maybe wasn't too hard, but what about after knight e5, what about if he takes with the queen? Threatening checkmate over here. So you can't just ignore that. You go knight f3, defending that and hitting the queen. So the queen could just retreat. The computer thinks the best move is here, and the answer to why this is good is revealed in the next move, which is e5. And this, you might think it's a pawn sack, but if it's not actually, it's winning another piece because it forks these two guys, right? So you have to take it if you don't want to lose a piece. If you take with the queen, of course the knight's going to take the queen, so you take with the bishop, the knight takes the bishop. Now if you take with the queen, I'm sure you see the problem. If you take with the queen, rook here pins the queen to the king and wins the queen. So in fact, the best move is not to take the knight, but to move the queen somewhere else. But then white is just a piece up. And I don't even know if the queen has too many good squares. I guess it could go to e4 here maybe. d4 rather. Anyway, so this is just winning for white with either of those moves after knight takes e5. So pretty interesting. That's the kind of tactic I think if you're in a long game, you can spot things like that. You just have to work it out in your mind. Look at all the captures. Look at all the ways you can retake. Look at the responses, and because they're forcing moves, there's not too many moves you have to look at. So you can find things like that. Just keep in mind that there's this potential weakness of the king on this file, and all these loose pieces, loose pawns in particular, scattered about, and you can discover things like that. So from the features of the position. But in a blitz game, it's a little trickier to find that. I think a good player would kind of have a certain intuition there was something going on, and maybe spend some time to figure it out, even in a blitz game. But it's not what I can do. Okay, so I played bishop e2, just with the knight e5 attacked my bishop, so I just was getting away from that. And so white still has some slight advantage through here, and keeps this slight advantage up until this move here, when he just castled, leaving this rook hanging. Well, it's not really hanging, but he's losing the exchange here. So after takes, actually the chess engine recommends castling queenside, but white still has an excellent position here. Black's king is all exposed over there, so white would have a significant advantage, but not a material advantage, just an advantage in position. But when he castles, I can just grab this. And now he makes another mistake, queen c7. And this is a threat, but it's not a really big threat. All he's threatening to do really is win the pawn. And so the right response for white here is just to keep the bishop and give up the pawn. And or you could even try queen f3, but bishop f3 is probably the simplest thing. Just retreat the bishop and you're a piece up, a whole rook up, in fact. And this little pawn over here is not going to be too much of a problem. But I didn't do that. I saved the pawn instead and gave up the bishop. So a bad choice. But white still has an advantage because he's up the exchange. And I maintained the advantage through these moves up until right here. And now I realized, oops, he has this threat of knight to d3. And if you don't know why knight d3 is a threat, you might want to pause the video and think about it some if you didn't hear me explain it during the game. Okay, I'm going to explain why knight d3 is a threat now. Knight d3, queen takes, and bishop to h2 check, and queen takes queen. So that just loses the queen. So the computer thinks my best try is to play queen e4, and it thinks I still have an advantage. He can win the exchange back, but I guess I'll have a pawn up. So maybe that's what it's looking at. I played queen e2, which actually gives up the pawn. And now if he were to play knight d3 here, the game would be even again. It might go something like this, knight d3. He played queen takes f5. Yeah, if he had played knight d3 here. I still can't take the knight because of this move, winning the queen. So I would just have to move the queen away somewhere, maybe over here defending the pawn, and then he could grab one of these rooks. And some slight advantage for white, but nothing to speak of. So he kind of lets me off the hook. He plays queen takes f5, and I get my rooks out of their problem that they're in. I start by playing rook e to d1, pinning this bishop. If the check here, now I can take after I move the king. His rook is hanging, and my rook is defended. So so from here on out, I'm pretty much just winning. He gives up the c pawn, and then he takes on h3. And after I take back, he resigns. But it was pretty much over. This bishop is still pinned, and I guess he could play bishop back to here, but then I'm going to win. Trade off another rook and just be a piece up. And so anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again later. Bye.